session on the introduction to Ayurveda and Padartha Vigyan, the very first topic that we will deal in Ayurvedic curriculum. Okay, namaste to you all. It's my immense pleasure to tell you what Ayurveda is, to introduce Ayurveda, very new topic to you all. Okay, so before we enter into the topic proper, first thing to ask is what is Ayurveda, isn't it? So before that, it is commonly known that Ayurveda is the ancient knowledge system of India, isn't it? Everybody knows that. So how these knowledge systems have come up? What are they? That is the first thing to think about. So knowledge is a word which is related with understanding, cognition, isn't it? So it is attached with the evolution of intelligence. So at first when the people started living together, there was nothing much to think about all these aspects, right? Then later on when they started gathering together, when they had their own society to build up, then the thought process evolved. Along with the evolution of intelligence, we can see in the history there are so many knowledge systems growing up, in which what we have in India appears to be the most ancient one. Clear? So here, the ancient knowledge system of India is always attached with the word Veda. It is in Vedic era that the knowledge system took a particular shape. It got orderly arranged. So Veda or Vedic era is such a time that people started organizing their thoughts. They started thinking about themselves, they started thinking about their surroundings, and they tried to understand the relationship between themselves and surroundings. I think so much is without any confusion for you, isn't it? So clear. So that was a core idea. Then they started orienting their life or viewing their life based on this particular thing. That is oneself, the society, and the surrounding. So we can now think in this particular triad. The triad in which the life is being viewed in the Vedic era goes like this: the individual unit, the society, and finally the world or surroundings, isn't it? So the scholars of ancient India in the Vedic times can be generally called as rishis, isn't it? So these rishis viewed at the world in this particular sense. They found a unit, every individual unit, and how it is becoming a society, and how it is related with the world. What is the interaction between these three factors? How they are interacting with each other. That was a core idea in which the whole system was developed. So they told, see, if you are clear, if the individual unit is stable, naturally the society goes stable, and when the society is stable, of course the world is stable and the life can be easily maintained on earth. So you have to imagine that it was around 10 BC that this had happened, and how systematic it was, that these rishis could control each and every individual unit of the society in a particular way that it does not hamper the stability of the society, and then it could add up to the stability of the world. That's why it came to a equilibrium later on. So you can see many rituals, many prayers and everything which is oriented towards this harmony with nature. So it was going on calmly, and later on when the individual unit started becoming unstable, you can read it in the further episodes which comes with Ayurveda Avatarana, the descent of Ayurveda. So when there was some disturbance at the level of individual units, the disturbance at the level of society, so when so many individuals became unstable, definitely it will hamper the stability in the unity, right? So later on, when it becomes so huge in volume, it will affect the stability of the world as well. So this was the problem that has happened. So when it started at the level of individual unit, so that it somewhat affects to the society, that time itself rishis became very alert. They started, there should be some solution for this. If this happens, automatically the equilibrium of the society will go, and then definitely it will hamper the equilibrium of the world. So the life become miserable in the world. That should not happen. So they had a meeting, and the story goes on, that we'll deal in a different class. So today our idea is to understand what is the solution that they found. How they found, that is another question that we'll try to answer in another class. So today we'll understand what exactly was the answer they found. Clear? This is the background in which the study of Ayurveda starts. So I said the knowledge was so systematic and well oriented, organized. It was so much related to the life and its relationship with the nature. That was the nature of the development of knowledge in India. So when the knowledge is systematic, it will have a unique method of studying also, isn't it? So when we try to enter into Ayurveda, we should first engulf its core idea that it is in line to the nature. It is in line to the laws of nature. It is staying in, it gives a lot of importance to the harmony with the nature. First thing. Second thing is basic, the unique study method which Ayurveda possesses. That has to be understood. Then only we can enter the stream of Ayurveda. So in Ayurveda or in ancient Indian study systems, the basic thing is that each and every word will have a particular meaning. And the study starts from the very meaning of that particular word. Clear? So when we get into the study of any subject, we start with the study of that particular word. So here also we start with the study of that word. The word is, what we study about is Ayurveda, isn't it? So when you view this particular word, it is a combination of two words, that is Ayu and Veda. So let us know what is Ayu first and then go to the next word, Veda. So knowledge is not so easily conveyed to anybody, especially in India. We believe that knowledge should be given to only those who demand it, isn't it? So you can see in classics, every chapter ends with a query and the next chapter starts with the answer for that. Until and unless the student asks a question, the guru or the teacher does not bother to turn upon that particular chapter itself. He doesn't mind, he doesn't need, because he knows only when there is a demand from the side of students, the knowledge can be of some use. If you demand something, if necessity is there, then definitely it will be of some use, it will be utilized in future, isn't it? So until and unless there is some query from the students, there will not be any answer for. So that was the style in which the knowledge system has been evolved. So here also, like when we also try to get into the pool of Ayurveda, we should also have that particular attitude in our mind. We should also start asking questions to the Shastra. The more we ask, the more we get the answers. So here we don't have anything to ask, just the word, isn't it? So we'll ask to that particular word, what is the meaning? We have two words now, Ayu and Veda. So we'll ask what is Ayu. Huh? So what is Ayu? Ayu appears to be a very familiar word. The word Ayu means lifespan, isn't it? It's a very common word which is commonly used in the meaning lifespan. But of course, when we organize our study, we have to go a little more deep. It should not be like a layman who understands it. We have to go a little more scholarly to it. So what Ayurveda speaks, when we speak about Ayurveda, we have to see what Ayurveda speaks about it. Ayurveda says you cannot just concise the whole meaning to lifespan. There is something which is to be expanded in that. So what is lifespan? Lifespan is the interval between birth and death, isn't it? So how Ayurveda speaks about it? They also say, yeah, it is a starting of a particular combination to the end of that particular combination. It is a combination. A combination of life. What is a combination? Combination is union of many factors, isn't it? So many factors include, here there are 4 factors which are particularly told in life, which everybody among us knows. What is life? What is a combination in life? The body is there, isn't it? Then next to body, other than body, what all we have? We have our mind, the soul, and they add a particular ability in us to interact with the universe, that is indriya, that is senses. So body, senses, mind and soul. Somebody may feel why senses are told separately, because it's a part of body. Is it so? No, senses are not a part of body. Sense organs are a part of body. The ability to sense is a part of mind. So that shows that it has a particular, a different, existence. So that is separately told so that you don't miss any points out of it. That is a speciality of Ayurveda. They elaborate it in such a way that we don't miss anything. Okay. So here body, senses, mind and soul, these are told to be the 4 factors. Combination of these 4 factors constitute Ayu. So Ayu starts when these 4 come together. So at the time of birth, you know that. So they say it will end when these 4 breaks, the combination breaks. That's also naturally, at the time of death. But they say stop there, there is a problem. So you don't feel that when at the time of death, the total combination does not break up. What happens? The combination between this session breaks up. This will retain. It will search for another suitable combination of body and sense, then it will continue. As you say in another body, which is termed as, know that particular word, isn't it? Punarjanma, which is always a topic of controversy. So that is the idea of Ayurveda. Like it doesn't break up, it will continue in another body which is suitable for it. Okay. So whatever imprints you have in your mind, deeper imprints, not every imprint may not be, but whatever deeper imprints you have in your mind, according to that which is suitable, according to that whatever suitable body you get, in that the mind and soul will continue the journey. And Ayu will end when this total combination breaks up. To break up, we need a breaking up at the level of soul and mind, isn't it? This particular connection has to be broken, then only it will end. Clear? So that is called as moksha. Till then it will keep on continuing. I think you are clear about whatever I speak, isn't it? So in very simplified manner, see, these topics are not so simple as I speak. You may have to think, you may have to have talks for hours together, but to understand in a basic level, this is what Ayu is meant in Indian systems. It starts when this particular combination starts, and it will end when disintegration takes place at each and every level, that is at the level of soul and mind also. Clear? Here, that particular thing is termed as moksha, and Ayu will continue till then. This idea has been told in a beautiful shloka, which is I can recite it. Sharira Indriya Sattvatma Samyogadhari Jeevitam. Sharira Indriya Sattvatma Samyogadhari Jeevitam. Okay, this is the combination of so and so. Nityaga Anubandhascha. That's why I said it continues. Nityaga and Anubandha refers to its continuity. It continues. Paryayi Ayiruchyade. So these are two synonyms of Ayu, Nityaga and Anubandha. It is because of this particular reason that it goes through Punarjanma until it reaches moksha. So this is the journey of life, which is very simple, beautifully explained in a simple verse. So that is also a speciality of Ayurveda, very complicated ideas will be made into a capsule form and presented very simple, in a simple manner, which is called a sutra. And a person can sit and think for years together upon that particular sutra, and as you go on thinking, you will discover newer and newer ideas out of it. Okay, so this is, I'm giving a probe into your mind. If you wish, you can give water to it, you can give food to it, and you can flourish that particular thinking. So that is uniqueness of Ayurveda, and also the language Sanskrit. So this is all about the word Ayu. We just started talking about just one word, right? First half was left out for us, and that is Veda. So the next half of it is Veda. Veda is a very familiar word nowadays, isn't it? Nobody is there who doesn't know the word Veda. Nowadays, the importance of Veda, or everybody started talking about Veda. What is Veda? What is the meaning of Veda? Just one word, it can be translated as knowledge. Isn't it? It is usually how Veda is being translated. Veda is knowledge. I said we are not just trying to concise the word meanings, isn't it? We are trying to explore it. So we have to probe into it. Anything is left out, anything is hidden, anything is there within. So I said to probe into the topic, you have to dig out from the word meanings, right? So here, to dig out the word meanings, we have a lot of space in Sanskrit, because I said you in Sanskrit there is no word which is of no root. Every word will have a root. If you go to the root will tell you so many meanings. If you get the meanings from the roots, you can imagine, you can add up on whatever is there in your mind, your imaginations, and then search to the suitable thing which is fitting to our idea and make a concept out of it. Clear? That is how we make concepts, build concepts in Ayurveda. So here also Veda. So you go to the root of it, you get the root Vid. Vid is the root from which the word Veda came. So what is the meaning of Vid? When you search into the root meaning of Vid, there are 4 meanings which are told. So they will explain it as Vidyate, Vidyate, Vicharane, Veti, etc. So if you try to translate them, we'll get majorly 4 aspects of it, which you need to keep in your mind. There are 4 domains of knowledge. So if you are, you are all decided to come to the stream of Ayurveda, you are all decided to immerse yourself into the pool of Ayurveda, isn't it? So if you have to get something out of it, if you have to find some treasure out of it, you have to go in this particular way. That's why when you open the doors of Ayurveda itself, it says you how you have to enter, how you have to think, what you have to search. That is what the Veda explores in front of you. There are 4 important aspects of knowledge which every word you study in the curriculum of Ayurveda should go through. Clear? So these 4 words are, shall I write? These 4 words include understanding, analyzing, interpreting, and finally obtain. I said you Vindade, Veti, Vicharane, etc. are the words used. Vindade. All these words are having majorly these four meanings. So, what is understanding? If I speak something, you understand. Means you get to know what I spoke about. That is understanding. You are understanding my idea, isn't it? Then analyze. Analyze means you get the thoughts into your mind and then you search for all the details of it. You try to get all the details of the thought which have been conveyed from me. Clear? So that is analysis. And next to that analysis, what comes is interpretation. How do you interpret something? When you try to interpret, you have some base material, like you will have the existing knowledge which you acquired through your life till today, and then you compare. You try to compare whatever you newly acquired with whatever is existing, isn't it? That is interpretation. So you try to understand, you analyze with your mind, and then finally you interpret with whatever existing knowledge you have. So much is over. Maximum what a student is going to do with the knowledge is so much, isn't it? Then you say you studied everything, but that where it doesn't end. They say you obtain the knowledge. How do you obtain a knowledge? How do you own? Prapto, that is a word used in Sanskrit. Prapti. Prapti is to own it, to obtain it. How a knowledge can be obtained? How you own something. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you hear something, you speak to others, I heard something. Yeah, so and so has happened, I heard.